Good day to everyone who's watching this live stream. Now, today I would like to discuss some things about the IELTS exam, or as you will take this exam just once in your lifetime. Now, about the IELTS exam, IELTS is very important for mainly those people who live in developing countries or are looking to study abroad or either immigrate abroad or for working purposes abroad. Now, about the IELTS exam, the IELTS exam is basically designed for non-native speakers whose first mother tongue is not English. Because of this, their standard is respectable uh, because they are really just checking your basic levels of your English. Means that can you function and function well and do your job or your study well, or can you really realize your dreams or your ideas of what you are going to do or have planned to do abroad. So for example, in the United States they have the TOEFL exam, but IELTS is internationally recognized. The I in IELTS stands for international, which means that it is acceptable in all of the major countries, whether it be the west or east or anywhere else. Most countries do expect and require an IELTS score. Um, for example, people who are looking to study abroad, they will need to give some level of satisfaction to the institutes or the university where they are applying, that they are competent in English. Because of this, an IELTS an IELTS band score above a certain level is required for them to consider you as a candidate for their university or the course or program that they are offering. Because most of the times the education degrees or the certificates or diplomas that you have already acquired through your time in your own native country is not sufficient to prove or give them the validation that you are really competent in English. So the IELTS exam, because it's taken in a isolated environment and is focused only towards your comprehension and communication skills in English. Because of this, it's given weightage. Now the IELTS is co-owned by both the British Council and the Australian IDP. Now regarding the IELTS check all of the major senses which you use to communicate or comprehend the language. Now it tests your listening skills. How where can you hear and comprehend the conversations that are being held. Your listening skills, then the reading skills. What is your comprehension of the task? Um, can you really understand the passages? And can afterwards there are questions, and if you truly have understood the underlying meaning of the passage and all the basic skills required to do reading in this amount of time, then um, you are able to seen as someone who can conduct good research and study well and perform well, or at least up to the satisfactory levels that is required in your university abroad. After which you are tested in writing. Now writing is different for both. The whole IELTS is actually different from both. People who are going abroad for academic purposes, and also for those who are doing IELTS for general purposes. Now, people who are doing the IELTS exam for general purposes mainly intend to either immigrate, get a visa, or get a citizenship, passport, or maybe they are going abroad to attend a seminar, a function, or event. So these just basic or perform a basic low level blue collar job or something like that. The next is the academic. The academic is much difficult as it tests your academic capabilities in English. So for example, the writing part is much difficult in academic as opposed to in general. Also the reading is uh, given more weightage, and it's also quite difficult and challenging to master in academic as opposed to in general IELTS. um, Now about the test, the listening test is there's a recording that's played, and you get about 30 minutes. You have to listen the whole recording for 30 minutes, and it's played only one time. So you have to listen and focus well in order to find the right answers and write them on your sheet. Now you have to do this simultaneously. You have to listen and answer the questions simultaneously, after which you are giving 10 minutes extra to copy the answers from the question sheet to your proper answer sheet. In the listening part, it's actually divided into three sections, 3 or 4 sections, and it normally varies in difficulty. It's same for, and it's also same from for people who are taking either a variety of the IELTS, whether it be in general or academics. So first is often a monologue. The next is a discussion between 1 or 2 people. The third could be a discussion between many people, or like 4 or 5. The last is actually a lecture, uh, which, for example, a teacher or professor gives, or an expert in a field gives. And then you have the blanks. You have to fill these blanks, pick the answers through the conversation, and sort out and swim through all the like frivolities of the language, all the nuances of language. People sometimes say things that are not relevant. You have to swim through that, be focused for 30 minutes, and answer the questions as they are written. Then afterwards, there you have the reading task. The reading task is different for both general and the academic IELTS. For general IELTS, reading is much easier, and it's the language of the reading task are, let's say, of what you might find in a newspaper, a magazine, self-help book, or just some like what you may get in a mail, a pamphlet. So these are some of the passages that you may get. So these are very common day-to-day usage of the English language. So the vocabulary is not that tough. The sentence and grammar structure is not at such a level. It doesn't require you to have such like critical thinking skills or understanding every aspect of that. But this is only true for the first two passages. The reading task consists of three main passages. The first two you may get some portion from such media outlets. The next is generally a long passage, which takes it's a long passage which is taken from an article or a journal or academic journal, and so you must really focus and give a majority of your time to that portion, as it's the most difficult. Now what now as for the academic IELTS students, they have to study and prepare the same way as a general IELTS student would in the reading passage task. For example, the person who are preparing for the general IELTS who get the reading passage task of 3, which is taken from a general article. It's the same for the academic students, but it carries forward to all the 3 tasks, meaning all the 1, 2, and 3 reading tasks are all taken from a proper academic or journal, and this can be on any topics or from any field. It can be from a scientific field, a political field, of music, arts, mm, environment, novel. So this can be from any field. You have to really be flexible when when you're dealing with these passages. Afterwards, yeah, so it's harder to get a good score in reading, especially for the academic students in IELTS, because of which they have also lowered the bar as such. For example, if you're able to get 30 questions right out of 40 in the reading task, that's a 6.5 in general, but that would be a 7 in academic. And it increases and varies. So for example, there is a two answer gap. So a person who gets for example 32 or 33 would have entered the 7 band in the general, but it will be a 7.5 in the academic. So yeah, you are giving a relaxation as such of two questions. You can get two questions wrong more in the academic and get the same result as a person who gets two more questions right in the general exam. But this is in such big advantage that you will receive, because of which you have to work really hard and honest, be honest in your study and preparation. So after which in the writing task, now you have to remember that all these four compartments of listening, reading, writing and speaking, they are all scored out of the maximum 9 on a 9 band score. And you can get uh, scores in decimals like in point 0.5, or full like 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, or 4.5, 0.1, 6.5, 7.5 and so on so forth. If you get score like 7.25, they convert it to a 7.5. um, okay, so in the writing task, for general students, you are asked to write a letter in the task 1, which is a general informal letter which you are asked to write, for example, to a librarian, to a friend or family member. And in the task 2, you are given a topic, an essay topic, and you have to write an essay on that particular topic in a proper way and not less than 250 words. So the word limit is 150 words in task 1 and 250 words in task 2. You are giving 20 minutes in task 1, 40 minutes for the essay in task 2. So listening is for 40 minutes, that's 30 minutes listening and writing the answers on the question paper and copying it. Further 10 minutes on the answer sheets, 40 minutes listening, 1 hour for reading for both the journal and academic, but the material is much difficult for the academic IELTS students. They are giving much longer passages which are taken from either articles or journals. In the writing tasks, as I said, for journal they are asked to do a letter writing for task 1, and task 2 is the essay. Now for academic students, they are told to first analyze a diagram in task 1 and then write an essay in task 2, but they have to do it in a formal language, in a proper language that you may have used in your bachelor studies or your master studies or in your higher intermediate studies. Or you have to think that you are doing a proper exam and write this essay or this analysis of a diagram in a proper academic way. So you don't have that much liberty in language as opposed to in general. So yes. So regarding task 1 in academic, you are giving either a bar graph, a table, a line graph, a pie chart, or a diagram, a process chart. And you may be given for example 2 or 3 of these. You may get to analyze 2 bar graphs, 2 pie charts, two tables, one bar graph and one table, one bar graph, one pie chart, a combination of these, and you must be able to analyze them and pick the main key features from them and write it down in a simple language that is not too vague. You have to use the data from the diagram and not make assumptions, and you have to use linking words, uh, and write at least 150 words. If your word count is low, then you will be deducted from marks. Similarly, in task 2, you are given an essay to write on a topic. The essay are of various different types. They can be argumentative, or they can be one-sided or biased essays. So you may be asked to discuss both sides or both viewpoints and give your own opinion, and sometimes they don't ask for your opinion. You have to weigh the various pros and cons, the problems and the solutions, the advantages, the disadvantages. It depends on the question prompt. And finally, this is mainly your speaking task, which is taken before the LRW. LRW meaning the listening, reading, and writing, your main task, which is taken at a center. The speaking task normally takes place within a week or 7 days before the LRW, but it can be done after the LRW also. It depends, but you must be ready for speaking at any time. The speaking is divided into three main tasks. The first is you have to introduce yourself, and these are just general questions about yourself, your life, your work, your family, and this goes on for about 5 minutes. The examiner keeps asking you the questions, and they keep track of the time, and you have to give them the answer. Not too short, not too long, but just write about 2 or 3 sentences. In task 2, you have to, for example, do a marathon run or tell a real story. In terms of marathon run, I mean like talking at the length. You have to talk for about 2 minutes. You are given full freedom and full liberty of how you use your language and the words you use, and describe a particular scenario. You are giving a cue card. The cue card sets the tone for what you will talk or create a story about within the 2 minutes. You are giving 1 minute to prepare, so that's a total 3 minute task. For example, the cue card may ask, describe a trip that you have taken recently. You should tell where did you went to, how did you went to, how was your experience, and would you like to go there again or not, and what you learned from this trip. These are the questions. You have 1 minute to prepare. You're giving a paper and a pencil. You have to write the points and create the story, but just short points, which you can elaborate upon when your time starts. After the 1 minute is up, you have to go on a talking spree for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, you have to create a whole scenario, describe this event. It can be from your own general experience, or it can be something which you can lie about or uh, elaborate upon. So you can mix truth with lies in order to give a complete picture of what you're going to talk about. So my advice to you is to get as many cue cards as you can, and then discuss it with a friend or family member, or if not, then just keep recording on your phone or your recording devices, and just perform as you would generally, or speak in a cafe or another hassle-free environment in front of a mirror, or whenever you are free. So just keep talking about it, just keep discussing. The main thing that they are looking for in speaking is fluency, how fluent you are, how few pauses you take, and how grammatically structured, how correct your sentences are. um, yeah. So the main things that are being tested in, for example, writing and speaking, both of them, is firstly your fluency, how smoothly and how much the letters or the words you're speaking is flowing smoothly throughout your monologue or your discussion about the topic. Fluency, then there is cohesion and coherence, which means how grammatically accurate are your sentence structures and your wordings. Are they did you use the right word to describe something? Is the word appropriate? Then then there is vocabulary. Vocabulary is a 20 it makes 25% of your grade, so you should use good vocab in your speaking and in your writing. um, I don't really remember the fourth one: fluency, cohesion, yeah. And the last but not the least is task achievement. Task achievement is whether you really answered the question that was asked, whether it be in writing that you are giving a scenario and you're asked about something. Have you really answered that question and stayed to the topic? Same in the speaking. If they ask you what is your opinion on television, then you must describe just your opinion on television and don't go off the topic. So if you are able to stay on the topic, doesn't matter how high or how low or how bad your English really is. If you stay on the topic, you get a reasonable, respectable score in IELTS. After which, if you want to get into the higher IELTS scores, you have to practice and use these other strategies to improve your fluency, your grammar, and your vocab. So naturally, if a person is really hardworking and honest to in their practice, then they will generally improve in their listening and reading skill. Listening and reading skills, or to get a good score in listening and reading, is something which you can do if you practice really hard, whether it be in an isolated environment at a home or go to an institution or take private classes. It is something that is dependent entirely upon you. If you work hard, you can get 8.5 or even 9 in listening. Reading depends. If you're general, you can get 8.5 band at least, or 8.5 I think at best in general. Or in academic, you can, if you work really hard, you can get an 8. And these are your receptive skills, because these are receptive skills, which means that how how much can you grasp of this language. It depends upon your brain, your work. So you have to listen to English conversations, watch some YouTube videos on any topic that you like, um, listen, understand them, and do as much practice as you can for the listening task. Try to differentiate voices and intonations, meaning what a person really forces or focuses upon when he's speaking. um, Try to differentiate that this is the voice of this person, this is the voice of this person, they're going in that track. And try to figure out the answers in advance. You will start to notice a pattern in the listening task, and this will help you in figuring out the answers and give you more confidence of once you have written the answer of whether they will be right or wrong. Don't worry about the last fourth section in the listening task, because these are for mainly the higher band score, people who are looking to get 8 or something. But most people are satisfied they can get an overall band score in 7 for academic. But for journal, 6.5 is fine, and your doors will be open to go to any country of your choosing. Yeah. These are the receptive skills. Okay, so you the more you read, the better you understand, the better your vocab is, the better you understand the writer and how he is trying to, or he or she is trying to get the meaning or message across. By listening also, you get to know what the person really means, his personality on. Yeah. more you listen, watch news channels, etc., read various books on different topics, or books generally go on topics that you enjoy but are written by different authors. So these are the receptive skills. If you work hard and do, for example, like 60 passages, I think, yes, 60 passages should be alright. If you practice 60 passages and time yourself, are you able to answer them within an hour? What mistakes are you making making revising and correcting these mistakes, and then performing again and again until about you reach 60 passages. Then you have mostly perfected the band score that you are about to get. Listening, take the IELTS listening tests that are available online, either in YouTube, or the cassettes or CDs which are available in other bookshops, and play them. Answer the questions given in the book or online in the YouTube. Write them down in a register. These are receptive skills which you work hard, you can improve upon. But for example, writing or speaking, you will need a partner. If not, then you will need to find other innovative ways to improve these skills. For example, if in writing, you have to find someone who is better in writing or academically more qualified than you. Ask them to check your work, make corrections, and try to get tips, and write as much as you can, practice as much as you can, because I have noticed that writing is the most um, the lacked skill among all these four. People focus very less on writing, so focus as much as you can, because of which they suffer in writing and don't really get past 5 or 5.5 or maximum 6 even. So if you need that 7, 7.5 or even 6.5, you need to work on your writing, practice it. And in speaking, speak as much as you can, um, with someone who enjoys speaking in English, or uh, get in a group online, either make a WhatsApp group or your Facebook group, and communicate with them in English over Skype, or find a partner from a foreign country who is willing to be your friend and help you in this. Um, so if you are able to do all these things, I think you will succeed and get a good score. At least I hope that you are able to achieve a band 7 score, which I think is not that difficult. um, well, thank you and take care.